Arr, mateys, are you landlubbers?
You're listening to Late Night Radio on the SHR Media Network. Caution, there will be mature themes explored and potentially adult language used. If conservatarian words, phrases, certain concepts, or rhetoric offends you, tune out now.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
Here we go.
Through the chaos, got the truth in my back. Leftist lies and globalists, I'm pushing them back. From the saloon to the airwaves, I'm spitting it raw. Constitution's my compass, liberty's law. Big gods creeping, shadows on the land. Feds with the schemes trying to bind up my hands. But I'm the Sherpa, guiding through the storm. Red, white, and blue, yeah, freedom's reborn. They spin their tails, but I see through the haze. Media maggots, lost in the maze. I'm calling it out, no fear in my soul. This patriot's fire ain't losing control. Conservative Sherpa leading the fight. Torch in the dark, burning bright in the night. Stand for the truth, won't bow to the game. Sherpas, come and remember my name. Sherpas rising. Leftist judges twisting, trying to steal our rights, but I'm locked and loaded, got them in my sights. From J6 to the border, they're selling us out. I'm screaming from the mountain, hear my rebel shout. They mock the flag, but I'm holding it high. Stars and stripes forever under God's open sky. No globalist chains gonna cage this land. I'm the Sherpa with the truth in my hand. They push their agenda, but I'm breaking the mold. Their promises empty, their hearts ice cold. Chicago's bleeding, borders torn apart. I'm fighting for the people with the warrior's heart. Conservative Sherpa leading the fight. Torch in the dark, burning bright in the night. Stand for the truth, won't bow to the game. Sherpas, come and remember my name. Sherpas rising. I've walked the line, 41 years, badge on the grind, now I'm on the air. My voice like a blade, cutting through the lies that the traitors made. Hurricanes rage, but we're standing tall. Sheriffs of the Constitution answering the call. From the saloon to the heart of the fray, we're taking back America, no more delay. Conservative Sherpa leading the fight. Torch in the dark, burning bright in the night. Stand for the truth, won't bow to the game. Sherpas, come and remember my name. Sherpas rising and static, hear my voice resound. Conservative Sherpa, freedom's battleground. Berserk, Bobcat, rolls will never kneel. For God and country, this fight is real.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, remember this from BZ to you, especially these days. This is no time to be sober, comma, damn it. Anyway, I am your conservative Sherpa. I am this guy, and I even have a banner to prove it. I am your conservative Sherpa, and this is what I do. I guide you through the insidious maelstrom of Demorat, leftist, and globalist lies and chaos and deceit and tyranny and betrayal. So welcome to everyone who is here tonight. I thank you for your presence, your Mark 1, Model 1 presence. And as per normal, I want to tell you guys that you're about to hear for the next 2 hours or so consists of my opinion and my opinion only, and perhaps those of my guests. If I have a guest, I don't know, maybe, yes, I do. Shh, don't say anything, BZ. Yes, perhaps I do. Anyway, what am I doing? I'm doing the job that the American media maggots won't. I am fundamentally changing America one leftist diaper at a time. We don't water our drinks, just like we don't water our conversations. We are still serving stiff drinks right here in the saloon, along with facts, history, logic, rationality, proportion, context, clarity, tradition, and common sense for normal people. So let's see. Politics, religion, culture, crime, economics, race, sex, science, law. We talk about it all right here in the saloon, where the speech is free, but the booze, sadly, is not. I am streaming right now on a whole host of places that would be similar to this: Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, Facebook Live, SHRmedia.com, the SHR Media YouTube channel, Rumble, X, Twitch, and KLRN right now. Thanks to Rick Robinson of KLRN for streaming. And also, I am of the hoping that you have been jumping into the shagalicious, plush, sumptuous, palatial, and resplendent chat room only at shrmedia.com. Go to shrmedia.com, because if for no other reason, then this is what we have done. We had a show just last week. We finally reached 1,000 subscribers on SHR. At last check, we had 1,027 subscribers, and we cannot begin to regale the thankfulness drenched upon your heads for having subscribed and for having watched the show, being in the chat room, encountering all of our wonderful and just jubilant shows that we have here to present to you. I will go over all these shows at the end of the show itself. And before we even begin, let me see if I can put this up right now. I want to remind everyone that, do you want a little bit of SHR in your hearts? Who wouldn't? And we have an SHR Media shop, and look at the great swag that's in there. This is a great shirt. I ordered one of each, except I didn't order the hoodie. It's not here yet. It's in transit. It's being pulled by ox cart, which is okay because, at least the shipping isn't that costly. Look, you've got a great 250 Reasons anniversary shirt, the Edge of Liberty. You can buy that shirt and look like Sean. The SHR mug. That's a cool mug. Screw the hoodie. You can get a Mission Ready Men shirt right here. You can get a BZ shirt. God, I love that dude. He's awfully damn fat. Reaver of Commons and Ancient. Did I mention Ancient and Hairy? One portion has less hair than another, but we'll go into that at a later date. Reaver, the Ever of Common Sense right here. And then your generic Mark 1 Model 2 SHR Media shirt right here. Now, if you're wondering where you can go to get that, you would think, SHR Media. Not exactly. Go to missionreadymen.com. missionreadymen.com/collections. I'm a collection. You're a collection. They're a collection. They down below here. Wait, I'm pointing in the wrong direction. They're down there. They're a collection too. So we have swag for me and you. And you can be bedecked in all the swagalicious swag that we have. Also, when you subscribe, please, and you go to the SHR Media YouTube channel in your favorite show, because all of our shows are your favorite, aren't they? They should be. Anyway, click on the bell whenever you go into a show, and that gets you notifications. Okay. Crossed fingers. If YouTube doesn't hate us that particular hour, which occasionally it is wont to do. So click on the bell and you'll get notified. And of course, like I said, the sumptuous, palatial, and resplendent, and shagalicious SHR Media chat room. My chat room, okay? My chat room is better than anybody else's chat room. Speaking of chats and chatters and chatteresses, chatter, what's the matter with you? There you go. There's the stuff right there. So what do we have? Who do we have? Who am I? Where am I? Raver of Common Sense, O2 AMT, mission ready men. The Phantom, Rick Robinson, please don't tax the Rick, is in chat. And M. Joan and J. Rap. Do I ever go out in public? Frequently, I know that's very disappointing. Just remember, if you happen to see me out in public, draw your children away. Draw your children away so that your children and yourself do not turn into pillars of salt. So look away. Look away, Dixieland. Anyway, I've got some great stuff for you tonight. I don't necessarily have the carnival of amusing GURP, but tonight's theme of the show is this. Sadly, leftists have decided that they're going to make the streets run red again. And we're going to discover that there's a particular cohort of people who are responsible for this. And it's not as though we didn't see these things coming, because we did. But also, I want to introduce to you the act you've known for all these years. It's not Sergeant Pepper. It also, it happens to be, hey, look, if I put this up, maybe you'll see who it is. It is a gentleman by the name of Lyle Armstrong, who has inhabited our chat room and plagued it on many prior occasions. And if there was ever a dude that sounded like he was A, dudelicious, and B, a really interesting cat to talk to, I thought it would be this guy. So thank you ever so kindly for being here tonight, Lyle Armstrong. And I say that for a number of reasons. We'll go back into your media here in just a second. But Lyle, again, I have to say, most of the people that I speak to or interview are people from the far right coast. So it's already, I don't know, it's 11:13 where you are right now. So thank you. If for nothing else, thank you for staying up so late tonight. And I appreciate it. Thanks for being here.
Oh, at my advanced stage, I already took a nap. So thank you for having me.
Well, imagine how many nap maps I already took. Well, shoot, I don't get up until 2 p.m. anyway. So having said that, Lyle, we saw you in chat, and I thought, if there was a way to contact this guy, because you sounded very, very interesting, and it seems you have a military background, and we spent, about an hour the other day, and then about an hour before the show talking about all sorts of stuff. So one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the show is because in your time, you have conducted a surfeit of cool stuff all around the global. And having done that, a great deal of that was in the military. And so first, let's start at the start. So Lyle Armstrong, where were you born? Where'd you grow up? That kind of stuff. Because trust me, I'm going somewhere with this.
Perfect. I was born in Springfield, Illinois back in 1976. That's pretty much where I grew up until it was a choice between jail and the military is where I was headed. I was that kid that got in trouble a lot. So it was a no-brainer for me to join the military and get out of Dodge.
So you went into, well, let's go back a little bit. You went into the military. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But was there anything in your past which indicated that what was kind of the stuff that you were interested in as a kid or maybe in high school that kind of sort of perhaps could have led you into the military, other than the heavy thunk of a jail door cell?
Well, funny you should mention that. To quote Nicolas Cage from one of my favorite movies, The Rock, I got my first chemistry set when I was 6, blew my eyebrows off, never saw the cat again. It was kind of one of those, love climbing trees, jumping around, playing war out with my buddies out in the neighborhood, getting in trouble, running through cornfields and all that other good stuff. So it was kind of one of those, who on this planet could let me use explosives and pay me to do it?
Because really, when you think about it, no, it's true. When you're a kid, at least if you were a kid in the 50s and the 60s, who didn't get there was a time when you could buy, and I think I had one until my mother took it away from me. You could buy a chemical set which was radioactive. They sold radioactive rocks. I had one, and then you had erector sets, and then you had chemical sets where they would insert these really cool things that, shit that you could make blow things up. And that was my background. Of course, as a kid, I was interested in fire, because who isn't? And then you start to take all the fireworks, maybe the M80s, you start to dissect them, pour the powder out, light the powder, make long fuses on concrete and walkways and whatnot, light it, maybe
run
dip,
like hell.
maybe dip a plastic model plane that you had in gasoline, fly it around, light it, then watch your clothes go on fire as you're trying to indicate that the plane is crashing. Then it crashes on the gas trail, and then your mother comes out and yells at you. So I understand where, okay.
They have a pill for that, I hear.
Some people think that's funny. Okay, that is funny. That's all. As a matter of fact, for the first of the night, that's the first thing of the night from BZ. Folks, we're talking to Lyle Armstrong. So you were giving essentially an elective. Okay, you can go here or you can go there. And you chose to go to
the Air Force.
Okay.
That was kind of one of my things.
What enticed you about the Air Force?
Honestly, my friend, he worked out in Kennan Air Force Base, which is out at Clovis, New Mexico. I believe that's 11 kilometers from water, 2 meters from hell. And he taught me into it. He wanted to have me come in and be his roommate, which never happened, thank God. But basically that was what got me talking to a recruiter, and the recruiter looked at me and saw a sucker walk through his door and goes, "I got a job for you, kid." And next thing you know, I'm signed up for explosive ordnance disposal. So bomb squad for the military.
So I have to ask this question too. When I think of EOD stuff, I don't necessarily think of the Air Force. I think of the Army or sometimes the Marines. The other movie that was out there whose title escapes me right now, Hurt
Locker.
Yeah. And I think of that. So what attracted you to the Air Force in particular? Or was it just the first guy that you went to? And then when he put his arm around you and said, "Little boy, have I got a job for you?" Basically, did your eyes get all big and circular and excited? Yeah. You're going to pay me to blow shit up?
It was a combination of that, and I'm sure how, several boys felt around their priests back in the 80s. But
perfect. Okay, wait. That's number 2.
But no, the Air Force and all 4 services go to the exact same school, which is kind of a cool thing. We are a true joint service community, where we all go to the exact same school through the entire thing, except for the Navy goes through an extra little section they call Area 8, which is specifically underwater ordnance, where they learn to basically frog dive.
So when I went through, and it was a long time ago, we went to the Redstone Arsenal, but that's not true anymore. So where did you go?
I started off at Eglin Air Force Base. Well, that's not true. I started off right there at San Antonio, Texas for a prelim course. It's basically to weed everybody out before they start spending $3 million to train somebody.
Holy shit.
Oh yeah. And that was back in 96.
Baby.
But then over to Eglin Air Force Base in Florida, which is Panhandle, Spring Break, Panama City, Razor Roof, all that other good stuff. You did half of your job there now that's all there, which if to be honest with you, going back now, knowing what I know, I would never, ever graduate, especially with spring break coming up. But after about halfway through that, you go up to Indian Head, Naval Surface Warfare Station, Indian Head, Maryland, which was down Highway 210, just south of DC. It's also known as the end of Maryland. You can't miss it. Once the banjos start playing and the people with three eyes and webbed feet come out, you know you've arrived. Yep.
So, all told, what was your EOD training then?
For the entire, just the beginning, there was over a year.
Okay. Now, and that's before you actually went out on a particular assignment for whatever it is that.
True. EOD school is basically a giant weeding out process to see if we can train you. You're really not even useful for about 5 years when it really boils down to it.
You're sort of tagging along OJT style.
Pretty much, yeah. There's an 18-month OJT after the fact, and when you hit the field, or it used to be. It might be 12 months now, but after that, you go through your apprenticeship, you go through your journeyman skills, and then at that point, you're kind of a team member. You don't hit team leader until you've reached an NCO rank, and then go through team leader schools and all that other good stuff, where you actually get to operate, where you're the guy in charge, making the call, putting your butt in the sling, and putting on the bomb suit.
So the first thing you do is you go into EOD. That's 96. You train for at least a year, and then what's your first assignment, or where are you first sent post training?
Fun story. I
knew you'd have one.
Dude, I was just, it was one thing after the other with this guy. I came in and they're like, "You're going to Dover." And I'm thinking, England, White Cliffs.
This is great.
Hell yeah. And they're like, "No, Delaware." And you're like, "Where?"
That's where the credit cards come from.
Where's Dover, Delaware? They're like, that useless strip of land right between the DC and the Atlantic. And they're like, "You mean like an hour that way?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "That's where you're going." Yeah, it's like, crap. But it actually turned into a blessing in disguise, because Dover Air Force Base was a very, very small EOD unit. I was the 8th man there. I was the FNG for probably 6 years, which made, I emptied a lot of trash bins, but it made me be the team member for a lot of things. I got to go through and do the only port mortuary in the United States military. So if anybody dies in an accident or war or whatever, all of those bodies come back through the port mortuary at Dover. EOD is the first station in those, where we go. Yeah, it's a morbid thing, and thank God I'm done with it. But
that reminds me of the movie Taking Chance.
Yep. Pretty much like that. We go through and remove anything explosive before the surgeons get involved. For identification purposes, if there's any things that the cadaver needs, for, presentation, because of course they're military people and they deserve their respect and our honor. It's actually a very dignified process, which I applaud. I'm just glad I'm done with it. But the other thing it got me into was Dover's unique geographical location, being right there between, New York, Philly, Baltimore, DC. I got to do what we called Secret Service support missions.
Okay. Because EOD is a very important aspect of that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And the Secret Service doesn't have its own bomb squad, so they go to the military.
So you the armed sweeps.
Yep, we did the sweeps. We did what we called finder function. So normally, if I was to come in and clear my room, I would do everything remotely and use ropes and robots and all this other stuff. On those types of things, I just opened a cabinet, and the thought process was better me than the president. So over my 5.5 years at Dover, I got to protect numerous presidents, first ladies, foreign dignitaries, vice presidents, all sorts of people, events, which was a really cool opportunity to have. Not a lot of people did. I ended up doing over 700 missions.
Wow. That seems like a privilege / downer / an honor.
Kind of, yeah. It's a lot of work. But it was kind of one of those, where else can an 18-year-old kid tell Kenny G to, suck it up and let me look in his saxophone?
And when you said it, it wasn't a euphemism. Okay?
Exactly.
Let's make that clear right now, kids, because I know where your brainulus was going at this point. So you spent 5 years there, and after Dover, wherein did thy find themselves be sending?
Straight right after September 11th, after we went to 24-hour shifts.
Oh,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we that was when I actually processed all of the bodies from the Pentagon, which was an honor to be a part of, and thankfully my last one. That was the heavy hitting port mortuary operation. So thankfully that was my last one. And soon after, I PCS'd, or permanent change of station, to Incirlik Air Base in Turkey, which was a fun time.
That would be very weighty. I understand that what people went through on September 11th, but having not gone through that yourself, that in and of itself would be a very heavy, weighty, I can't say necessarily a drain on your soul, but it would certainly be soul stirring.
Oh, absolutely. Drills a hole right through you. It's oops, sorry. My my big brother just talked to me for a second. But it kind of drills a hole right through you. It's those are dead Americans. So it's kind of it was good though, because we got new equipment. Looking at the bright side of everything, we got new equipment so good that we could tell the date off a quarter through an X-ray.
Really?
And the beauty part about that is, of course, the FBI is involved, so they're running the operation. So we got to help them piece together exactly what took place. So we were like literally the front lines of that, which was kind of really kind of an honor and kind of an offshoot of what was way outside of our job description. So.
And then after that, like I say, rather soul stirring assignment, where did you happen to go next?
Incirlik Air Base, Turkey, to the Mediterranean.
Okay.
Where they God only made two different types of Turkish women, gorgeous and the other.
Caterpillar eyebrows, that sort of thing that kind of haunt you in your sleep.
Pretty much babushka comes to mind,
Babushka, right? A good Russian babushka with a good samovar and a cigar. Gotcha.
Exactly.
Okay.
But no, I had a really good time there. Got to do some other Secret Service stuff from there. Ended up protecting President Bush when he went to Moscow. Stayed a block away from what was that? Red Square. In the Hotel Metropole, which I stood there in front of Vasily's tomb talking to my team leader going, 10 years ago, we would have been shot. I mean, that not even thinking about it. And here we are standing on the red cobblestone out there, and just, wow, there's the Kremlin.
So you must have been, I'm going to have to take a break here in just a moment. So you must have been, when we come back, you must have been on assignment in a team that was specifically shipped to do sort of pre-screening, EOD pre-screening for all sorts of various situations. And we'll get into that, excuse me, when we come back. Folks, I am BZ, and let me put this up. This is Lyle Armstrong. He is here tonight. We'll go over his point on X. And with that having been said, I'll be right back after this.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Listen in to the Reaver of Common Sense, where we cut through the noise of news and politics with a show equipped for bombast. Tune in Mondays and Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, and 6 p.m. Pacific, featuring a refreshing dose of reality. Jersey Joe fearlessly tackles the tough topics with no nonsense. Just pure common sense. Visit shrmedia.com, where you can hear the Reaver of Common Sense in action. He may not always be polite. He may not always be refined. But one thing's for sure. He always tells it like it is.
Are you looking for a way to boldly express your faith and love for your country? Then check out Seven Armors, the premier apparel company for patriotic men of God, where faith meets freedom in style. Our t-shirts are more than just clothing, they're statements. Bold, stylish, and meaningful. From timeless messages to modern designs, we've got something for every patriotic man of God. Wear your beliefs proudly with Seven Armors gear. Don't miss the chance to wear your faith and freedom on your sleeve. Visit 7armors.com today and join the movement. That's the number 7armors.com. 7armors.com. Faithful, vigilant, steadfast, fashion.
Are you looking for bold and honest conversation about the issues shaping America? Well, let me welcome you to Unleashed 101 with Jeremy Hansen, where we take you beyond the headlines. We dive into politics and culture, the struggles of everyday life. It's raw, real, and unfiltered. If you're ready for truth with a punch, pull up a chair and join us. That's right, Unleashed 101, where real talk feels like home. Find us at unleashed101.com, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and more. We look forward to seeing you. Unleashed 101 with Jeremy Hansen.
Freedom. One nation in all of human history was built on that bedrock. Ours. A republic of the people, by the people, and for the people. Self-government requires freedom, just as freedom requires an individual willingness to self-govern. Freedom has made America exceptional, but it can only last as long as you and I seek the good, as expressed by the laws of nature and nature's God. It can only last if you and I choose to act as people of character. Forging character has been the pursuit of Hillsdale College since 1844.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks for listening tonight to BZ's Berserk, Bobcat, Saloon radio show. It is February the 12th, the year of our Lord 2026. Thank you for being here tonight. It is 8:34 p.m. Pacific. It is 10:34 Central, 11:34 Eastern, and 1976.234 subgrowth cluster 3, paragraph 2 in Bolivian time, but I could never understand Bolivian time, but it's just kind of way messed up. Folks, we're talking, and we have been speaking to Lyle Armstrong. Let me put his X page up here, right there. Go to Lyle Armstrong if you want to see stuff about him. Lyle, then _ Armstrong. Bomb Tech, EOD, Bronze Star Hiker, world's most okayest musician, climber, list maker, maker of lists, father of dragons, camper, veteran, peacekeeper, and otherwise known as that guy. Lyle, welcome to the Saloon tonight, and thanks for your immediate presence or a somewhat reasonable facsimile of same. We were talking about you were in EOD. You were a member of various teams that got sent out to clear various venues with regard to let's just say important peeps. And so once you were doing that in the Med, all sorts of certain places around the Med, my guess would be, well, okay, you were there, you were in the Air Force doing shit that blows up for 22 years. And then you retired when out of the Air Force?
2018.
2018. Okay. Well, you beat me. I retired in 2016. So during that time, my guess would be that you probably have a veritable treasure trove of interesting stories about shit that blows up, shit that didn't blow up, shit that almost blew up, and shit that blew up but almost killed me but didn't, because I'm here today.
I would say yes. That's where do you want to begin?
Okay, that's it. Hey, thanks for being here tonight, Lyle. Appreciate your presence, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Anyway, you've got, I would just, Jesus, start at the start. Mr. Lyle, go ahead. Anyway,
all right.
Want to start?
We'll start at the beginning of the Iraq War. The Iraq War kicked off in, what was that, 2003, March-ish. And that's where the initial invasion was supposed to happen from the northern offensive from Turkey that didn't happen. I'm doing my air quotes for the podcast for that can't see that. Basically, the USS LaSalle launched 42 Tomahawk missiles to various targets throughout Iraq, and 22 of them decided to turn around and come home.
What?
Which... Yeah, well, they're designed, before we get into it, they're designed to do that because, Raytheon doesn't, they're $1 billion a piece. So they want them back if something's wrong. That type of deal.
Apparently not in the way that BZ thinks.
Well, they're designed to go and come back and splash down within 500 meters of the ship. So divers can recover them. And then, Raytheon can come in and recover them and take an idea of what's going on with them.
You see, you say that, and I think of Hunt for Red October. Okay,
it's kind of like that, just on a smaller scale. Well, 22 of them decided to turn around and go home, but didn't make it. They all slammed down within 500 meters of a village in various points and places around the world. The only way I can really describe to where they landed is if you stood probably, 50 meters from a map of the Middle East and then shot that map with birdshot. That's where it landed. So it's pretty much everywhere. We ended up in Syria. We ended up all over the place.
Call me wacky, but they're probably not in the best of shape, A, and B,
no.
Might they be just a wee bit dangerous?
Well, there are parts on them that are dangerous, but generally the only thing that survives is the warhead, because they're mostly penetrator warheads.
God, the dangerous part.
The dangerous part, yes, titanium cased and penetrators. But the problem with it is for a small man, team, they weigh 750 kilograms, so that's a lot of poundage when we get down to it. So. We're coordinating airlifts, we're coordinating forklifts, we're coordinating, all sorts of different things to get those things out. Well, and of course, we have to deal with the locals because we just bombed their town as far as they're concerned. But they just kind of went all over the place. We ended up standing out in a field of mines at one point, wondering how we got into Syria. Because it was just a dirt road we were following.
I'm sorry, Syrian. It was just a happenstance.
Yeah. But, the Air Force, in their infinite wisdom, they didn't even send us with weapons. So it was kind of fun to do that, blind.
What?
Yeah.
No weapons.
This was a different time. You were bringing up with the whole... when the EODs, the Army and the Marines, and you think of warfighter and all that other good stuff. This was a different time. The EOD guys in the Air Force, we had to deal with the Air Force mentality of the only warfighters were airplane jockeys. And they didn't quite understand that, it's closest available unit. And here we are. The Navy put us up to the task and the Air Force responded. So here, don't know what to tell you, but we're going in. They're like, oh, one other time when we were airlifted from Incirlik Air Base into northern Iraq, we were going into a not so happy place, and we're like, all right, so let's load up, and they're like, well, here's your rifle, and we're like, all right, where's the bullets? And they're like, oh, you'll get them when you get to your base. We're like, we're not going to a base.
Bullets. You'll get bullets.
I need bullets.
When you get there.
I need some freedom seeds to shoot back. That type of deal.
Not today.
Not today, sir. But we ultimately won the fight over that. It was either that or we are going to throw candy at them in naughty words.
That's right. Or as I used to use in patrol, heavy sarcasm. By the way, I did the conversion table, and because I don't remember my conversions, 750 kilos is 1,653.467 pounds.
That's about right.
1,600 pounds, which most anyone can easily lift and have to deal with.
Yeah, right. I mean, look at this physique. I mean,
I know.
It just screams power.
My point precisely.
Right. So no, it's an interesting thing. The fun part about it is that not one of those warheads had a scratch on them. Slammed into bedrock. Ash and trash. Everything else is just a field of debris, and those warheads were just pristine. They look like shiny silver refrigerators sitting on the side, or not even refrigerators, more like water tanks sitting on the side of a hillside somewhere.
Wow. Okay. And then apparently you were already spooled up previously on how one handles something like, a Tomahawk warhead.
Pretty much our job was to recover, but if we couldn't recover, get rid of. And getting rid of is way more fun than recovering.
Oh Lord. See page 5 for understatements.
Exactly. But that led us right into the Iraq and the Afghani war, which at that point I spent the next, that was 2003. So, 15 years going through, deployment after deployment after deployment. Now, the fun part is about 2004, my wife comes to me and says, I am not doing this anymore. I'm done. You're going to get off active duty. You're getting out. You're quitting. And I'm like, so I'll go ahead.
All right. Okay. You're moving around all sorts of places. Is she moving around all sorts of places with you too?
Not really. No, she's always been a Tingsboro girl. So she's been right about here. But I'm done with this. I'm not doing this no more. I can't take it. So, you're quitting. So I made the compromise of my job. Yeah. No, she's staying, or it was either that or she was going to go. It was one of those, me or the military. So I made the compromise. I'm going to join the reserves. So I moved up to Massachusetts, where we are now. Joined the local EOD unit here, and deployed 4 times as much.
So that's where the fun really begins.
That's where the fun really begins.
Kids, it wasn't this fun before. Now it really takes off.
Exactly. So all in all, we ended up with 5 Iraq deployments, 2 Afghanistan deployments, and a whole bunch of incursion missions from Turkey when the war kicked off. So it was a sporty time, and it's some of the best worst days of my lives. Sporty. I like sporty. Exactly.
You were a sporting man. Okay, so I should imagine that after signing up as a reserve, you were witness to a number of things going kaboom.
Yeah. I mean, there's been some fun stuff. The largest explosion I've ever been around was 998,000 pounds.
Oh, is that it? Oh,
that's it. A slight firecracker.
Okay, wait, hold up your hands. You're not called Stumpy, right?
No, that's all good.
Okay, cool. Outstanding. Except for that one.
Except for that one.
I
That
have to
little
ask
guy,
you.
don't worry about that little guy.
Yeah, just short of £1 million. Where the hell was that?
That was at Hill Air Force Base, getting rid of Titan missiles. They're finally, decomping them and had to go. So light them all up. And the fun part about that is when you're doing something that large, you actually move the clouds.
And I bet the pit for that was phenomenal.
Oh, well, after the fact, yeah, we did it surface.
Oh, okay. All right. And how far back were you standing?
We were 10 miles away.
Okay, perfect.
And it's still about knocked me over. Yeah. It's still about knocked me over. There are very few things that I would label better than sex. That is one of them.
That had to. The Titan Peacemaker will cook off in 4, 3, 2. Shockwave.
Oh no, and then you watch it come in, and then boom. There's plenty of time to watch it come at you.
Wow. That's like being out in the ocean and watching Godzilla getting nuked, and then you hide behind a palm tree and realize that was a really bad idea. Okay, so after that one, though, some of the things that I did and witnessed, they're cat pee compared to that. So come on, you're on a roll. Let's hear more. I love to watch shit blow up, I have to admit.
Okay. What he's talking about, like blowing things up?
Oh yeah. Well, if I'm not mistaken, you made the serious mistake yourself of saying that you were subject to some shockwaves or oopsies or something like that yourself. And
there have been a few oopsies. Most of them are not my fault. I just want to preface that.
Okay. Thank you.
Most of them are not my fault. Other ones are questionable. Most of them, though, we used to do what was called route clearance, where they would send out, packages of armored vehicles, up and down main thoroughfares to make sure that they stayed clear of IEDs or improvised explosive devices, so that supply trains and convoys could get through and whatever else needs to be done, and for the local populace too, so they don't blow themselves up. Well, we would go out at night, in the middle of the night, looking for bombs, because that's when the lowest population would be out there. And it just never failed. We'd play this cat and mouse game. We'd either, Afghanistan was more, you'd hit a pressure plate or somebody would use a remote control on you. Iraq was more of, there was somebody with shock tube and det cord that was out there watching for you. And they would wait until you come through, and then they would backlay an IED for you because they know you're coming back in about 2 or 3 hours, and then, hit you on the way back. Thankfully, we've had what we call JERVs, or Joint EOD remote or rapid response vehicles. They were a Cougar variant, 40,000 pounds empty, with a big boat bottom on the bottom. It's supposed to redirect all the blast.
Like an MRAP kind of thing.
Yeah, it's an MRAP. It's one of the it's a level 2 MRAP. Basically, we were coming back through what we called Hell's Kitchen, just north of Balad Air Base, or LSA Anaconda for the Army guys listening. And we went through Hell's Kitchen. Everything was fine. Went out to Palawata, came back, and then boom. And the only way I can really describe it, for anybody who hasn't been blown up, if you have seen the movie Saving Private Ryan, the scene on the beach at D-Day where he gets blown up and like everything just goes quiet with that hissing, humming, buzzing sound, and then everything's kind of slow motion, with what's going on. That's the best way, I'm going to say this once, bravo Hollywood, and then to hell with you for everything else. But basically, that's the best way I can describe, to someone who hasn't been, short of going out and blowing yourself up to figure it out. Please don't please don't. I'm looking right at the camera. Please do not do that.
Kids, don't try this at home.
Don't try this at home. I'll take off my leg and beat you with it. But I'm just kidding. I still have both of my legs. They're over in the closet. But
easily reachable.
Easily reachable, and they're nice and accessible. And eventually I can make myself taller. But basically, we went through that. We drove through. Now our Jerv was a 6-wheeled vehicle, which now had one wheel left. Thankfully, it was the front right, but we kept pushing it. From what I'm understanding, I was yelling to my driver, Justin, just drive, and he floored it. We got about two clicks down the road out of the zone, because of course, as you can imagine, bomb goes off, 50 cals light up every which direction. Everybody and their brothers, trying to hit whoever was going on, or whoever was attacking us. Get down the road to safety, got out of the vehicle, and you should have seen my poor princess of the sands. Her name was POS. Some people called her that because nothing worked on that truck. But she was the princess of the sands because she saved my life more times than I care to admit. But every single exterior box had been blown off. We had one tire left. The other 5 were on fire, and melting to the tarmac at that point. I had 2 Lexan windows that were just completely smashed. It was just, but the armor did its job. The top of the truck was pristine. It was beautiful, but
yes, but they refused to bungee you to the roofs. Damn it!
Right? Exactly. Well, the fun part is at that point there were no wreckers, and we weren't going to stick around. So we drove home. We put out the fires, and we drove that thing home on one tire.
And so you said to the Force Protection Company or to Oshkosh, whichever it was, thank you, manufacturers.
We went to it was Mantech back then.
Okay,
they were the guys that took care of all of our trucks. I'm like, thank you and sorry, because you're gonna fix my truck. Take good care of her.
Same condition from which it was issued from the factory.
No, we made some modifications out in the field. So
here, fix.
Exactly. 2 rear axles. Actually, the boat bottom was pretty well untouched. It did its job. It redirected everything out of the way, and everybody was safe. Our bells were rung pretty hard, and that'll mess you up just because of that. But you're basically a bunch of raw eggs inside of a tin can.
Well, so did you get a concussion from that, or during your service, have you gotten a series of concussions?
A series of them,
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's what made me into the beautiful, resplendent, quick-witted, and humorous man you see before you.
Perfect. I could say the same, only different. So now, did you have any other, I don't know, for lack of a better word, escapades that were perhaps similar in nature? But because you can laugh at them now, equally deadly.
11 more.
Oh, only 11.
Yeah, only 11. I remember 8 of them. I was told about the other 4.
3, 4, not so much.
Yeah. We've had a number of fun times out there, but it's sporty. Looking at here, Phillips here asked me, do you have any long-lasting effects from the concussions? Absolutely. I'm brilliant.
Okay, that's here comes the 4th.
There we go. Yes, absolutely. Concussions and TBIs are, well, especially with the VA, the Veterans Administration here in the United States, they move at the speed of smell when like anything else with the federal government.
Contra temps, perhaps.
Pretty much, yeah. And they study everything and everything and everything. Now, my TBIs have actually made it so the waves in my brain, have you ever seen, if you picture a human brain, how it has all those little waves and stuff on the outside?
Yeah, fissures, nooks, crannies.
All those fissures and nooks and crannies, mine are way too wide. They're smoothed out.
Oh, like a bad English muffin.
Yeah, like a really bad English muffin, like almost like an Alzheimer's patient. That type of deal. And when I read that in my medical records, like, subject male, 48, 49 years old, so it has the brain of a 86-year-old, Alzheimer's patient, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, wow, maybe that's why I'm so good looking.
Thanks for playing. Here's your consolation prize.
Exactly. So as far as that's concerned, yeah, that brings on headaches. It brings on, obviously PTSD from a number of different issues. Thankfully, I have my girl, Cartier, my service dog here. She keeps me grounded. She's
cool.
She's in her crate right now, sleeping though, because we don't keep
a Malinois. I think you said
she is a Belgian Malinois, and she is all the 90-mile-an-hour fur missile you can imagine. Which keeps me active.
I had a Shepherd, but a Malinois is in fact a nuclear-tipped missile.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is a nuclear-tipped missile dipped in ricin.
Oh, I had a buddy.
Thanks, Philip.
That was like that, and he had two speeds, like a Belgian Malinois, and both speeds it was either on or off. And I used to quantify that this dude was like being around a ferret on crank, and I believe a Malinois, not appropriately trained, can be something remarkably similar to that.
Well, see, I only have two speeds, and if you don't like this one, you sure as hell aren't going to like the other one.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. 2 minutes before the top of the hour break, then we're going to change to news and a few things like that. Of course, likes of which I would like to have like to have you opine on. With people as interesting as yourself, and I've asked this of any number of people, and I've had a whole bunch of book authors on. Have you ever thought about taking your experiences and putting them into a compendium of cool shit, and then see if you can write a book?
I thought about it, but then shiny.
Okay,
that's pretty much
that's like me today. Hey, do a 2-hour program. Do what? When?
What? Oh, you mean that was 3 minutes ago? Oh, what? Yeah, no, I kind of, became a jack of all trades, master of none, early on in my career. And it's just, I've never really sat still long enough to make good on anything, really significant like that. And to be honest with you, one of the, to answer Philip's question, about long lasting effects, the longer you go and the more it gets in there, the more, like pointed facts start getting blurred. You start disappearing a lot of the memory, whether that be subconscious or, you don't want to listen to yourself talk about it anymore, or it's just, it falls through the cracks somewhere. And I would love to write this stuff down, if nothing more for my kids, maybe, granted, I don't want to give them nightmares, but, they're all older now, so they could probably take it, but who knows? Hey, this is what Daddy did while you were playing Assassin's Creed. So
Daddy was doing it in real life,
right? Daddy was stabbing people for real.
Daddy got to watch 1 million pounds of Titan missile just obliterate the landscape. That was
just
fun.
Come from together.
Yes. Well, folks, we're going to take a break. We're talking. Let me put this up again so that you can see. This is Lyle's place on X. Go there. And one of the first things that he says, and I certainly agree with, there is no discussing this whatsoever. Do not throw objects, rock climbers below.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Mission log. entry. I mean, let's face it, who's even counting anymore? The Lost Wanderer is officially off course, chasing rogue rocket launches, fringe science, and things that probably violate causality. If it burns fuel, bends time, or makes scientists very uncomfortable, yeah, I'm probably going to talk about it. Every other Sunday on KLRN Radio, The Lost Wanderer, because space doesn't come with a roadmap, and honestly, I wouldn't follow if it did.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Hey fellas, are you mission ready? You need to check out Mission Ready Men via Earl Big E Jackson on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Central, and noon Eastern. It's a show that equips you to navigate our society's challenges from a biblical perspective with courage and conviction. Tune into Mission Ready Men as we examine our culture through the prism of biblical truths, teachings, and how to apply them in our daily lives. Prepare to step up, stand out, and step into your role as a man as ordained by God. That's Mission Ready Men, hosted by Earl Jackson on the SHR Media Network. And get mission ready.
Want to make an immediate difference in the life of a critically ill child? You have the ability to do that right now. Make a donation to Dream Makers for Life, the organization that restores dreams to seriously ill children and their families. You can sponsor a dream pack for a child, which contains a clear PVC backpack, a dry erase board adventure coloring book, a journal, and dry erase markers to inspire a critically ill child to envision a future adventure and hope. Want to become a dream maker for life yourself? Go to dreamforlife.org. That's dreamforlife.org. Help a child. Help a family. There is always hope.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Folks, I'm back. I'm BZ. I'm nationwide. It is 9:03 p.m. Pacific and midnight 03 a.m. Eastern. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. I have a very interesting guest tonight. My gentleman's name is Lyle Armstrong. He's an EOD operator, and that's how he goes in chat. He has been in chat before, and he's a super cool dude. There's Lyle. Let's bring him back. And Lyle, any one final cool, interesting story that you have about EOD kind of stuff, or maybe, gosh, I don't exactly know how to frame this. After having gone through everything that you did, and people, it's nice to see that there are some folks in chat like Philip 457 wishes you cool and good luck. And you said, unfortunately, similar to your epic good looks, which in fact are, your injuries are permanent. And then he responded with very kind wish for you. And that's the kind of chat room that we have.
Thanks, Philip.
And I think there are some wonderful people that are here in chat. In your experience, your 22 years, is there, maybe this is kind of like asking you this question and springing it on you and not giving you any time to really think about it. But is there anything positive that you took out of this, or life changing to the point where you said, Okay, this was some really bad shit at times. However, ... I did discover this.
Funny as it may sound, life is just life. And it really boils down to, after all of the garbage that we went through, these were the worst days of our lives, you know. And like I always keep telling anybody who asks, you know, I miss the guys. I don't miss the reindeer games, you know, so to speak. I do miss doing the job. You know, I do miss, you know, making a difference, all that other good stuff. But what I brought out of the whole thing is I've been through so much that the little stuff doesn't bother me, doesn't faze me anymore. You know, like when, you know, you go to the grocery store and you see somebody having a meltdown over what, you know, cereal to buy, you know, or, you know, somebody's, you know, oh, my internet's out. Oh my God. You know, or you just whatever. It's kind of one of those, that's the kind of the grand blessing that God gave me, you know, throughout this entire thing is just basically, you know, hey, look at all this crap that you made it through. You will make it through this. You know, that type of deal. Don't get me wrong. I still have my down days. I still have, you know, hurdles and challenges just like everybody else. But, you know, it comes down to is they haven't killed me yet. And if anybody's going to make me quit, it's going to be me. So until I decide that it's over, it ain't over.
Well, you're kind of like a backer of the philosopher Nietzsche. You know, you look into the abyss and you discover that sometimes the abyss looks back at you,
and all you can do is smile.
And you're not dead yet.
All you can do is smile.
All that stuff that you went through. And then I think that tends to, you know, an examination of morality tends to give you a big global overarching view of what is my place here? Why am I here? What is it that I am doing here? For what reason was I placed here? And, you know, I've had my own challenges. You have yours. You know, we all have our little chunk of challenge nation, but a lot of these things make you stand up and go, you know what? My cat barfing on the floor really wasn't that significant.
Right. And if I can get through life with a little bit of humility.
Yes.
And, you know,
if that's one thing,
I'm keeping track. Hold on. There we go. That's 5.
Okay, great. Thank you. Damn, I need a dry erase board too. Son of a. But it's true. You know, you gain a perspective on things that were challenging to you. And you finally begin to realize the things. You know, well, let me ask you this: are you a religious kind of dude?
I'll put it this way: my father was a minister.
Oh, okay.
His father was a minister. My brother was a minister. My mother and sister were both teachers, which that's what a minister is a teacher.
Correct.
And then I blew shit up for a living.
And then life for you went cool, kaboom.
Right. So, but then again, you know, there are no atheists in a foxhole, you know, so there is, you know, you want to say, you know, God, guardian angels, higher power, universe, whatever you want to say it, someone is looking out for my sorry ass. So, and has kept it, well, not entirely out of the fire because it has been on fire a couple times, but it's not exactly, well done. You know, I'm still medium rare.
Okay.
So,
because it's true. After a while, you begin to say, okay, what's your purpose? I had I'm sufficiently ancient that, like a redwood, you have to cut me in half and count the rings to figure out how old I am. But I've been around a lot.
Back in the Cretaceous period.
Yeah, I was. or my very own vegetarian cruciferous period. Yes. So after Charlie Kirk in September of last year, because it was only September of last year.
Yep.
Which is amazing to think of. I used to ask myself, and certain personnel all around KLRN and SHR also used to ask themselves, okay, I had to wrangle with this. Okay, how come this really cool guy gets his head sniped, and he was so infinitely better than I will ever be, and I'm
Amen.
still here? It's a part of philosophy that makes me go, every once in a while into the what the fuck category. To be quite,
I get that. And as my father would say, that's kind of one of those, you have to trust in God's judgment at that point. And maybe it was his plan for Charlie to be that guy. Because look at all the good shit that's happened just since September.
Oh, and yes, you can't focus on just a singular aspect of that.
Mm-hmm.
You have to look at point following. So
exactly.
Right.
I mean, look at like the let's just take recent events. The Super Bowl halftime show, the All-American one, that never would have happened.
Oh,
that never would not have happened.
No, correct.
We would all as Mission Ready Men would have said, we all said there was Sad Bunny, watching the travesty that was. I happened to glance at it a couple times because I was curious, and I just like, why am I even here? Let's go back to Kid Rock. There was a whole bunch of acts on the All-American show that I didn't know, and what? Correct. It was good music. It was good music, and I thought the duo of the violin and the cello was a really well timed point of it, and there was kids watching that stuff, and that was the beauty part, is I would have absolutely no problem letting my grandkids watch that. Mind you, the grinding and the twerking on the other side of the aisle on network TV. I think I would be a little embarrassed watching that with my grandkids.
Well, especially if they were to ask questions like, "What is that?
What's that?"
And what does that mean?
Exactly. That's okay. Not a conversation I would be ready for during the middle of the Super Bowl, which, by the way, was really horrible. The whole game.
Luck with that. I didn't have a cat in the game or a dog in the fight. I didn't really particularly care, but I wanted a close game just
right
for a while, because it's about the only NFL game that I watched during the rest of the year. Thugs. Not interested.
Yep. I watched my one game a year.
Yeah, I wasn't particularly interested in this one because it didn't seem to be much of a challenge, so to speak. But that having been said, I'm glad that I did veer over to the Kid Rock thing like that. Let's go to some news now, if we could. And I'd like your to opine on this. And let me start with, what the hell is happening with the Nancy Guthrie abduction case? The newest story that's in, if you guys can see this, this is from U.S. News and World Report. This just came in about, 2 hours ago, something like that. The FBI has been blocked from key access to evidence in the Nancy Guthrie abduction case. And that would include gloves that apparently were found inside the house that were sent to a separate evidence examination, I believe a private examination corporation, to look at that. And I'm not a huge fan, folks, of the FBI. Went there, did that, didn't get the prize, came back, decided to leave. And even so, I would be hard pressed to say something other than the FBI does have one of the finest ERTs around in the nation, if not the finest. That's an evidence response team, because I watched them at the very beginning get their chops. So if the thing that astounds me is that the holding of certain potential key pieces of evidence like this and not ensuring that they go to the FBI, you're not allowing whatever it is that can be determined or found in certain key pieces of evidence, like the glove, that you, as a sheriff's department and as that whatever company it was that was going to be doing the evidentiary collection and examination of that, you don't have access to a fraction of the required databases that you would need. I don't understand this. I have to admit, very, very little of this makes sense. I said from the very beginning, because I've been out of law enforcement for a long time. When I was in law enforcement, I mean, my spidey sense was great. I had one of the world's finest Furuno radars in terms of sensing danger. And that's why I'm still here today, because that spidey sense has managed to keep me safe over the years. Well, of course, without use, it deteriorates. One of the first things I thought is that, okay, all of this, and then I'd like your opinion, all of this screams to me, even now, this is personal and it's an insider of sorts. Now, whether they paid an outsider, whether an insider paid an outsider, whether it was a crime gone awry, there's still some linkage to me that indicates that a lot of this, for example, this today, if I'm not mistaken, there was a new glove found. Well, if you look in kind of the middle of this, upper middle of this map, there's Nancy Guthrie's home. And then the red is the corridor that was recently searched down to a river, down towards civilization. And gloves were found at that little dot that it indicates right there. And a lot of the things, having been in homicide and been an investigator, there are certain things that you have that you intentionally keep called holdbacks. And holdbacks are such that when you encounter someone and to lend credibility, if that individual or a series of individuals say something similar to, yeah, but have you thought about the panda with the pincushion? And then, well, we didn't release that to the press. We didn't release these things to the press. That's a holdback. And that's how you know that a lot of the things that you may or may not hear carry some weight and some validity to them. And there are so many things of this. I wish I could say that I had great faith in the ability of this thing to be solved. For example, in the suspect, you tell me the last time you saw a suspect wearing a piece of crap holster like that, covering his dick, hanging down in the front. And some people have theorized, well, it's a big ass revolver. Well, I don't know. I don't think so. To me, this screams someone's semi-auto. You just have to go look at the various things. There's the dude.
Well, that's definitely a semi-auto. That's not a revolver at all.
No. And I heard people say, oh, well, yeah, that's a big framed revolver. No, I don't believe so. Here's a guy with my first initial reaction was, this is a Mexican dude. And it looks as though he has a porn stash or a fake stash. And the other thing to question was, okay, that's clearly a very specific ski mask. And then does he have lidded eyes, or is that another mask that was worn underneath the other one? I don't have answers. There's another better picture of the guy walking towards the entryway, and in his mouth was apparently a light to shine down on things. Another picture getting closer, on him with his left hand on the gun.
Can you go back one?
Sure, you bet. This one?
Yeah. Now take a look at that holster for a second, and just the size of the gun and your regular. What would be the purpose of that holster? When you
it's
think
just,
about it.
this is just but one part of a series of things.
I mean, go with me here. What if that has a suppressor on it?
Okay. All right. Let me roll with that. Are you talking Hush Puppy?
Something like that, yeah. I mean, basically, not saying like, you know, the movie Hollywood stuff, but wouldn't that narrow down our list of suspects because of, you know, it being an NFA item, and that is clearly a semi-auto. And if you're talking about most of them are 5.5, you know, maybe 6-inch barrels, you know, that if that goes all the way to the end, you know, that could easily have a suppressor on it.
That's very interesting, and that's one of the myriad of reasons that I'm glad that I had you on here tonight. But you're correct. You know, the photos are here. We know about the weapon. I seldom see anyone wear a weapon, you know, in this location. This is very unique. Very
not
very
outside
hot.
the waistband.
Yeah. And certainly not in the groinulus area, so to speak.
I'd rather not shoot my penis off.
Yeah, me too.
Me.
It's kind of valuable as far as I'm
attached.
concerned. But, you know, how professional is this guy? When the answer is, I don't know. I absolutely don't know. Now, apparently that's a photograph of him. He had one of the lights that you could clamp between your teeth to look at things. Okay, I get that. I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But holding information from the FBI, apparently, you know, I get turf wars. You know, I had people semi-war against me as a Fed, and I semi-warred against the feds when I was with local agencies. Those are stories in and of themselves, but you have to be all on the same page in order to get the job solved. So my general focus on this, and then I'd like to have your opinion, Lyle, is it screams of something personal involved. Don't know in specifically which fashion, and something of an insider orientation stinks here. And do you have any thoughts, opinions on that?
Well, without getting too conspiratorial with it, the first thought about, like, you know, the gatekeeping with the information and stuff, I mean, that could be a pissing match, because whoever brings home the bacon on this one's going to be like national news at this point. I could see them wanting to be, you know, that POI out there in front going, we brought her home, or, you know, we solved the case, or what have you. But the other thing is it just looking at that the face mask, the holster, this obvious the obvious semi-auto, which could, and I'd almost say that almost has to have a silencer or a suppressor on it, just so that damn thing doesn't fall out of that holster. That screams insider job to me. So that's somebody that I don't want to say they're like professional, they do this for a living, but they're definitely, I'm getting kind of close to conspiratorial here, but
there's so many elements in this that are incongruous.
Yeah. I'm at the point where this person knew where the camera was, knew how to try to mess with it. From what I'm understanding, those images that you put up there were like recovered somehow. They never really explained how exactly they recovered it. It's a Nest camera. It's a cloud camera. That should have just been given in full at that point. So it says to me somebody's been messing with it. I mean, I know a number of ways, especially if that camera is Wi-Fi, how that thing would never even have taken a picture of me. So it's kind of one of those it just screams there's some technical know-how there that you're not going to get from just layman guy that's going to go kidnap some lady. There's more nuance to this than I think anybody knows.
the one element that I find very disappointing, especially after the FBI comes in, and there's blame to lay at the feet of both that county, I believe, in the FBI. When I was in homicide, one of the first things that I knew and realized is that depending upon circumstances, if I wanted to search certain places and I believe that I had a potential suspect and or the crime scene was of such import that I either had to write a search warrant to keep it, or I placed what at least we called keepers on the scene. Only a fool gives up a crime scene when you have a particular incident that is covered nationally and you step away and relinquish the crime scene. Now, I can't say that I know for certainty in any fashion whatsoever what happened here. Maybe they had some kind of a local or a federal keeper inside to make sure that possession of that scene was contiguous. Do I know that for a fact? No. It seems to be that they walked away from that scene absent having collected everything that they needed at that point. So when you tell me that there are certain what will, I believe, end up to be very key pieces of evidence that you subsequently take, I mean, this is what, the 12th day of this?
Mm-hmm.
And how many times between then and now did they relinquish that crime scene and then end up having to go back? To me, that makes very little, if any, sense.
Exactly. Once you close a crime scene down, and then, I mean, God knows what you're gonna, what type of contamination is going to come in right after that.
Exactly. And then you don't keep the scene to the point where a pizza dude walks up to the front door of this thing, and then where were the people to say, hello, I'm here for Pizza for Media, for KXTV or whatever the hell it is. How with an incident, it's a murder. I mean, she's dead. That's all there is to it. People don't want to say it. She died days ago.
Statistically, you're absolutely right.
This is a homicide investigation. It's no kidnap. It's a mystery. Fuck no. She's dead. Now, how much in an insider is involved in this? Perchance even a family member, perchance someone that knows the inside of that. We won't know for a while, but the mistakes made by various agencies at the beginning, I can only go back to my experience in Califailure, which was the microsecond that I give up a crime scene, and then I go, oh, fuck, I forgot, this thing inside here. Well, no, you're going to have to go get, if it's a situation of criticality, I'm to make sure that things don't go awry in court, because sooner or later, that's where it's going to go.
Yep.
I'd have to go back and write another search warrant. Well, to have to make that statement says that, broadcast to me in a different fashion how you're not a moron. So,
true.
So in a situation like this, and there must be a caveat, and that is maybe there was someone inside that house all along keeping the crime scene open. Another another BZ if-then situation. Okay, if there was someone keeping it open, then good / but they did a crappy job at it. In other words, if you missed all of this information at the very beginning, and you missed what people are quantifying as highly important pieces of evidence, man, I'm sorry, that does not play well. Folks, I'm BZ, and that is Lyle Armstrong. We'll be right back.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
In a world where leftists are running out of metal for the safety pins of their soothing red diapers, one man stands alone, attempting to fundamentally change America, one leftist diaper at a time. BZ, your conservative Sherpa, is guiding you through the maelstrom of Democrat leftists and globalist lies, chaos, deceit, and betrayal. Listen to BZ Saloon on select and exclusive Tuesday and Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Central, and 11 p.m. Eastern on the SHR Media YouTube channel, Twitch, KLRN, Rumble, and X at BZ Saloon. It's one great late-night Conservatarian talk radio show. Be there. Aloha.
Hello, friends. You have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRN You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRN Radio.
It's Sean from the Edge of Liberty. Just like the Bidens, I too am moving. Only in my case, it's days and times. That's right. You can now find the Edge of Liberty Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern, and Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on 11 Eastern on the SHR Media Network. Join me as we talk politics, news, alcohol, fun, not so much fun, clowns, small kittens, large kittens, dogs, amoebas, and anything else that just pops into my mind.
Okay, stop. Amoebas? Sean, really?
And while I'm on the air. That is Monday and Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast, on YouTube, X, KLRN Radio, Facebook, Twitch, and anywhere else a good podcast is found. Please check out our website, shrmedia.com. I will see you live on the air.
Attention, all patriotic women of faith. Yep, I'm talking to you, sis. Are you looking for high-quality, super soft apparel that reflects your love for country and your devotion to God? Look no further than Carry Girl Gear. Picture this. You rocking a tee so soft it's like being hugged by a cloud, all while showing off your love for God and country. Sounds dreamy, right? Well, welcome to reality, babes, because that's what we're all about here at Carry Girl Gear. We specialize in super soft tees, tanks, and more, designed specifically for the strong, patriotic woman who proudly wants to carry their message of faith and freedom. When you shop with us, you're not just getting a t-shirt. You're joining a community of like-minded women who are proud to wear their beliefs straight on their tees. So whether you're sipping sweet tea on the porch or leading the charge for faith and freedom, do it in a Carry Girl tee. Because life's too short for stiff, boring tees. CarryGirl.com, where faith and freedom meets fashion.
Independence. With that declaration, America was born. Inspired by a belief in the God-given rights of every human being, and in the good that comes from exercising these rights well. The founders of our great nation chose independence. As do we. Hillsdale College accepts no government funding because independence makes possible the good to which we aspire.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And I'm BZ. I'm back. It's the final half hour. Thanks to everyone for being here tonight. It is Thursday/Friday if you're on the East Coast, like my guest is right now. My guest, it's midnight 35 for my guest tonight, who happens to be Lyle Armstrong. He is this gentleman on X. You can go to his X site right there at Lyle_Armstrong, Lyle_Armstrong. And we've discovered tonight Bomb Tech, EOD, Bronze Star, Hiker, world's most okayest musician. That's a star in and of itself. Climber, list maker, camper, veteran, peacekeeper. And of course, that guy. Who is that guy? And Lyle Armstrong is that guy. Thanks for being here. One thing we didn't cover this. Bronze Star. Explain to me, pretty please, how that happened, Meester?
That was a culmination of, well, there's actually 4 of them, but the first one is kind of near and dear to my heart. That was for after picking up, well, dead bad guys. So I'm actually not really that broke up about it. Dead bad guys in Iraq. I was one of the, I was a team leader of Team Shake and Bake. We were the only reservist and active duty team that came together. We were the leftovers of teams that came together and like, hey, we need these guys, and just, hey, you guys are a team now. Go ahead. And we went out and did great things and pissed everybody off because we ended up, for some reason, every time we came up for quick reaction force or QRF duty, the calls just came in over and over and over. And it was just IED after IED after IED after IED.
What luck! I'm a
right?
lucky
What
guy.
luck! I'm a lucky guy. That deployment, I ended up having my record was 18 and 120 a 4-hour period.
But who's counting? Jesus.
But who's counting? Yeah, it actually got so bad that one of the other team leaders went to our first sergeant and yelled and complained and screamed and stomped his feet because I was getting all the calls. And Lyle had gone out on, I don't even remember how many calls it was that day. But we just kept going. The call came in, I went. Call came in, I went. I mean, that's what duty is. And I got pulled aside and was ordered to stand down because now it's unsafe. I'm like, we're in a war zone. I'll tell you when I'm unsafe, and I'll be the first one to tell you when I'm unsafe. But you brought me halfway across around the world to do this job, and now you're telling me not to do this job. So what it really boiled down to is we had other team leaders that were getting a little jealous that, I was getting all of the, I was getting all the IED calls. So that first Bronze Star was due to 127 IED calls in a 6-month period, where nobody got hurt, nobody got killed. Well, nobody got seriously hurt, but nobody got killed, and the only dead bodies that we had to worry about were bad guys that blew themselves up while trying to emplace IEDs.
Well, to me that falls under the category of nothing succeeds like success,
right?
just as the opposite of that camp is nothing exceeds like excess. And BZ is your typical figure illustrating exactly that over these voluminous years. Kids, definitely whatever BZ does, do not try that at home. Well, I had to go there and figure out what was happening. And also, I wanted to, God, I almost didn't get time to do this. We're going to have to kind of semi-rush through this because I'm not particularly interested in overtime, because I'm sure that Lyle doesn't want to stay here until 2 a.m. They'd like to get some sleep sometime, but this is the point of the show.
She's hot.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh,
in the desert, she would definitely be at least a 2.
Oh, and can you imagine all the nooks and crannies into which to place camel spiders? Does that not? Okay, brainworm. Take brainworm, insert brainworm, see if you can get rid of it someday. Okay, we're moving right along. Anyway,
I'm going to scream myself to sleep tonight.
Yeah. But this is where we start. And I've said these things for quite some time. I had almost an entire show on a lot of this stuff is finally being repudiated. But I've said for quite some time that per capita, the contingent or cohort of trannies are they become per capita some of the most dangerous personnel in this nation. Public incidents with 4 more fatalities expressed as rates per million. Look at the top. Look at the bottom. Top. Trans, non-binary, biological male. But trans. Top. Trans, non-binary, biological female. Trans. Then Asian men, black men, white men, Asian women, Hispanic men. I am taken to task on this all the time from people on the left. We'll go into the story in just a moment. This is how Reuters portrayed this. And this is how Canada portrayed this. 10 dead, including female suspect with dark beard in the photo.
I'm jealous of that 5 o'clock shadow. I'm
Yeah.
just telling you.
Yeah. After Canada school shooting as it happened. But that's how the American media maggots are writing it. It's like, it's like you ripped it from the screaming headlines of a Babylon Bee story. Media baffled as to anything mass shooters might possibly have in common. There's obviously nothing.
Dark hair.
It stems from this story in Canada. Canada school shooting, BC school shooting, 6 people found dead inside the high school on Tuesday. Another person died on the way to the hospital. Then it was updated to at least 10 people dead, including the shooter, on February 10th, 2 days ago, and wounded 25 others. And then at the very beginning, and people, I can remember the social media as this was coming out. And the media said, female in a dress with brown hair. Well, why would female in a dress with brown hair be important? Well, number one, mass shooters are not customarily female. ... Unless they're tranny units. Then this becomes a tranny unit mass shooting. So from the very beginning, people were saying, "Wait, I'm so confused. I'm so confused about this thing." But that's how they portrayed this. So there's a mass shooting in Canada. People are confused, and the response in and of itself is just okay. So it's like, this is from the Department of Redundancy Department. Okay. Yes, I am the first to admit, have always said so for quite some time. Yes, trannies are inherently mentally ill. They have to be that way before they're even touched in a mental, chemical, or physical fashion, set up for butchery. So the dude Van Ruteslaar was already known to various RCMP authorities. They'd been to the family home a bunch of times over the years, and they had concerns and had noted this in any number of reports. They'd noted and were concerned about this dude's mental health. So, when you humor these units and they don't seek treatment, then they butcher their bodies at, I think this occurred at 12, in terms of, what the hell are you thinking, parents? And that makes an inherently mentally disturbed person from the foundational get-go even more mentally disturbed, and potentially, as we've seen time and again in the United States, now up north in Canada, in BC, extremely dangerous. Like I said, trans units are per capita the most dangerous cohort of people extant in terms of shootings and mass shootings. And I don't have to make this up, because sadly it writes itself. So Mark Carney wrote, and I know it's really small, so I will read it for you people that are watching on YouTube in the portrait format. I'm devastated by today's horrific shootings in BC. My prayers and deepest condolences. Oh, wait. People on the left have been saying for a long time, well, thoughts and prayers, that doesn't do anything. So why is it okay? Well, Carney gives his thoughts and prayers to this. I give my, I give my best wishes and condolences, and then they move into the euphemisms, the virtue signaling, the pronouns, the names, the words that are bandied about. Like they talk about a gun person, a woman in a dress. Instantly my spidey sense goes tranny.
Anything to soften the language.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's like, do we see a pattern here? Is there a pattern? And there it is on the screen for everyone to see. When I post the show in Rumble, I will post this picture as well. Uvalde shooter tranny, Denver school shooter tranny, Denver school shooter 2 tranny, Aberdeen shooter tranny, Nashville shooter tranny, Georgia shooter tranny, Iowa shooter tranny, Philadelphia shooter tranny, Colorado Springs shooter tranny, ad nauseum.
Mm-hmm. There's another pattern here that, not to hijack the subject here, but this is kind of societal thing that we've been doing for eons. Just take a look at PTSD patients. It started off as a condition called shell shocked.
Yes, World War II. Yes.
Right. Then it went in somewhere around Korea. It was operational exhaustion. Then it was battle fatigue. And now it's post-traumatic stress disorder. We basically, keep changing the name of the condition until you change the condition and you soften this language and all that stuff. And the fun part is if you look at it, how many people, like specifically Vietnam vets, didn't get the help they needed at the time because we were calling it post-traumatic stress disorder rather than shell shock? Shell shock. George Carlin said it best. It almost sounds like the guns themselves. You know what I mean? Shell shock. Boom. This is something serious. We need to do something about this. Now, when you look at these woman in a dress, or they're non-binary. Non-binary. Is there anything more gentle sounding than non-binary? Come on.
Our garbage man in the 50s today was a sanitation engineer.
Right? This is the same bullshit that we keep going around, and we try to bullshit ourselves into thinking we live in a utopia. When it comes down to, you have a violent sect of people, which Andy Ngo has coined as Transtifa. That just to throw out to Andy there, but he calls them Transtifa because they're violent militarists. They per capita have a larger body count than any other group in history, in this country.
And they revel in their tranniness. I just made up a word.
That's a good word. I like that.
And their violence linked with same. It's something of which to be proud.
Mm-hmm. It's absolutely. And now when you throw the hashtag resist, because we have to resist. What exactly are you resisting against? Because I'm a Gen Xer, okay, and I'm gonna sit there and say something because you're baby boomer and stuff. I was a feral child. All right, what am I resisting against? Who cares? All right, put on your big girl and big boy panties. Go get a job, pay the bills, pay your taxes, shut the fuck up. No one gives a two shits, and, go to bed at night, knowing that you've done something productive for the society. Now, the fun part about half these guys is most of it are the, how do I put it? They weren't liked enough. They weren't voted prom queen or prom queen, or I wasn't good enough for the football team or the track team, so I'm going to go run out for the girls team because that's just what, I need to do because I really love volleyball. I need to be on the girls volleyball team, because actually I think a boys volleyball team would be pretty badass, but they don't make those. So it really comes down to is look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. We used to call those kids goth. All right. They were the weird kids.
Yeah.
And most of them grew out of it, or most of them like turned into really cool or really hot goth chicks, which everybody, goes after now. But so it really boils down to is these people need to calm down, and us as a society, because let's face it, there was a time in this country where we had places to put people like this, and they're called asylums. And I think it's time to come back and make asylums great again. MAGA.
Yeah, exactly. We had them in my time. There are some things that you clearly cannot repudiate. And sex is binary because mammalian reproduction is binary. And there are this is one of the few things I remember from biology is that there are two gamete types. And quick, like a bunny, go flip back to your biology book. There's sperm and ova, and two developmental pathways exist for that. There is no such thing as a third gamete through all of it. There's no third gamete, damn it, that exists.
Well, let's use their thing, the LGBTQ, right? Well, if there's more than two genders, what does the B stand for? I mean, bi is two.
Yes.
So
I guess that men being men and women being women, there's men and women, and that's where the binary comes from.
Which brings us to the whole thing of, you cannot have progressive thought without hypocrisy. It just does not exist. You have to believe in two diametrically opposed conditions at the exact same time.
Hey, I want to give a call out to Lito, somebody from Puerto Rico. So thanks for being here tonight.
Hey, Lito.
So we always want to acknowledge people that are listening and or watching from far, far away. So the deal of that also is that infants and toddlers can even differentiate between men and women, and their fetid little brains have not already yet been polluted with this crap. So it doesn't take a brain wizard or a nuclear physicist to recognize all of these things. So
you kidding me? My dog figured it out.
Exactly.
Ran outside, got cold in the subarctic temperatures of the Northeast, and she came back inside. And who did she run to? Not me, not the service dog owner. She ran to her mama because my paw is cold. So, I mean, come on.
And also, Super Chat. Thanks to Lito. Super Chat $9.99. Greatly appreciated.
Thank you, Lito.
Thank you, Lito, for the Super Chat. And then police going and saying, gun person? AYFK? Are you fucking kidding me? Gun person? Really?
That includes the deceased gun person.
Okay. And then separately, do you know the gun person's relationship to the
gun person? Now,
gun person.
I can't.
I'm going to tell.
How could I make this insanity up? I couldn't.
Okay, we were like 2 steps away from calling a rape victim an unwilling sperm recipient. All right, that's where we're at.
Yeah,
I mean,
otherwise known as right a USR.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's a USR over there. So this is let's see, about 30 seconds of one of the first briefings that we saw or heard out of Canada.
Officers entered the school to locate the threat. Within minutes, an individual confirmed to be the shooter was located deceased with what appeared to be a self-inflicted gunshot. Suspect has been identified as 18-year-old Jesse Van Rootselaar, who is a resident of Hamlet Ridge. 2 firearms A long gun and a modified handgun were recovered by responding officers.
Stop. Hey, kids. We were told in, I believe, one of the most recent chats, perhaps it was Sean's Edge of Liberty last night from CHH, Canada Heavy Hall, that, oh, right, since about a year or more ago, handguns are not legal in Canada. So how is it that this person was in possession of something like this? Where did that come from? Where's the history? How does that all sort out? Here's more.
We're not hiding it. In fact, you're the first media to ask the question. I will say this. We identified the suspect as they chose to be identified in public and in social media. I can say that Jesse was born as a biological male who approximately, the information that I have, approximately 6 years ago began to transition to female and identified as female, both socially and we're not hiding.
Okay.
I hope for his sake that he was told to talk down to people like that. You know, I mean, could you imagine being that pompous that, just because, well, this is what we do is, we're going to respect the guy that just went and murdered 9 people and
Sure,
shot
because
25 other people.
Right, because murderers are inherently requisite of respect. Are they not?
You know what? Call him a douchebag for all I care. I mean, seriously. I mean, the guy is a shitbag. I'm glad he's dead. That's. And you know what? I'll say that as a Christian. I'm glad he's dead. I'm glad he became part of the 40%. Just why didn't he start at the beginning with that part?
I'm going to wrap up the show with this. My mother-in-law passed away in 2007 of pancreatic cancer. It's like one moment she was okay, and the next moment she was literally orange. And she said on her last days, okay, thanks, I found God. And B, she said, sometimes people are placed on earth as nothing but examples of what not to do.
Amen.
And I don't think I could have said anything like that better than she had. So again, this show went zip quick like a bunny. And
really did.
Thank you to my great guest tonight, Lyle Armstrong. And if you would, maybe I missed something, I don't know, but I'd like to let you have the last word. Any social media sites that you'd like people to know about, any places that you'd like to refer people to, anything of that nature, or any oriented kind of TTFN, ta-ta for now thing that you'd like to say as we wrap up this show.
Now, you can follow me on Twitter at or X at Lyle _Armstrong. Love to have you there. Other than that, you can follow me on here on YouTube at EOD Operator. That I'll throw that into the chat as well. I am a musician, so any type of exposure we get through that is greatly appreciated. I do appreciate all that the love and support you guys have shown me tonight, and I appreciate you having me on your show.
Okay, say that once again. I didn't know that you had a YouTube channel. Tell us about your YouTube channel again.
Oh, well, it's small time. I used to stream on Twitch doing video games and all sorts of stuff, but I'll throw up a bunch of music videos and things that we've done in practice or shows or whatnot. A lot of Pink Floyd. So if you're not a Pink Floyd fan, I'm probably not your follow.
Oh,
but
I am. Saw him 3 times.
But it's just that's kind of one of my things. I just like to throw it out there and just have some fun with it. I'm not monetized or anything like that, so it's just kind of a fun thing for me.
Okay. Again, thanks to Lito for the super chat. Appreciate
Absolutely.
it. And also want to give Zihara acknowledgement. She comes in from New Zealand. And even though she says, hey, maybe I'm late, maybe I'm not. Hey, we always appreciate and like to see you in chat. So thank you for being here. And Lyle, Thanks for being here tonight. I appreciate your time. It's 0100 on your side of the coast, and you've been a great guest. Might I have the honor of your return sometime in the future, perchance, sir?
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. Anytime you want me.
All righty. Folks, that was Lyle Armstrong. Thanks to him. Thanks to you. Thanks to everybody for watching tonight and being in the chat and the super chat and the people from the non-U.S. environs. My greatest thanks to you all. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks for listening to BZ's Berserk, Bobcat, Saloon radio show, live and direct right here on the SHR Media Network, and also on YouTube, the Grand SHR Media YouTube channel, X, Twitch, and the munificently grandiose KLRN, for which Rick Robinson, parenthesis, don't tax the Rick, end of parenthesis, was kind enough to simulcast us here tonight. Always and greatly appreciated. And as per normal, a promotional consideration is by the Lockheed Martin Skunk Works, Shure and Electro Voice microphones, the Arrakis Company, who manufacture my mixer, also by the Pratt & Whitney Engine Company, producing dependable engines yielding thrust. You can trust. Tiaras are by My Little Pony, but I don't have any cool logo to show you of that tonight. And also, thanks to my personal KC-135 Kettle One refueling team, with who I shall be consorting in less than 10 minutes. I want to thank everybody for taking time out of their busy nights for being here. And as we wrap up, I also want to make mention of this in just a moment.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Ben. Good night, everyone.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children. Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing?
Good night,
Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, and good luck.
Folks, before we go, I want to remind everyone of the shows that are coming up next week. I hope you have a great weekend. But tomorrow night, Friday night, we have one more SHR show. And that's this one. Jersey Joe on the Reaver of Common Sense. He's on tomorrow night, Friday night, at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, and 9 p.m. Eastern. So watch Jersey Joe tomorrow night, our final SHR show of the week. And then after the weekend, Jersey Joe comes back as the Reaver of Common Sense. Monday nights, 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, and 9 p.m. Eastern. Then also Monday night, 2 hours later, there's Sean on the Edge of Liberty. He's on Monday and Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. Pacific, not 6 p.m., 8 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Central, and 11 p.m. Eastern. So it looks to me like we've got your Monday and Wednesday nights covered. And I'm here on Tuesday and Thursday nights. And I also want to mention that just before me on Tuesdays and Thursdays, except in the morning, there is Earl, Big E Jackson, he of the Mission Ready Men Briefing. And he's the early day guy. And he begins on Tuesday and Thursday mornings at 9 a.m. Pacific and 11 a.m. Central and noon Eastern. So we have got an SHR Media show for you every night. And I want to remind you of all those shows. Everyone have a grand weekend. One more SHR show tomorrow night, Jersey Joe, 6 p.m. Pacific. Be there. Look to the skies. Look to the skies for Jersey Joe. He will be eaving. And thanks, everyone. Thanks, everybody, for being here tonight. And remember, as I've said many times,